Lynn Scarlett is the Vice President for Policy and Government Relations at the Nature Conservancy and an expert on environmental policy. I spoke to her about the conclusions and suggestions made in the UN report.
Lands are really important, and agriculture is a big part of the problem if we do business as usual. And part of that is not only how we do our agriculture, but thinking about our diet too. That means shifting to more vegetables, more grains. That means less land transformation to feed cattle and so forth. But the report is not calling for all of us to change our diet dramatically.
So you can still eat your hamburger if you want.
You can still have your hamburger, and there are many parts of the world where really meat is a fundamental part of their tradition. So it's not talking about dramatic change, right, but some change.
This report looked at agriculture, deforestation, other land use, saying those activities generate about a third of human greenhouse gas emissions, including more than 40% of methane. Why is methane here so significant?
Well, you know, greenhouse gases include carbon dioxide, but they also include methane. And a lot of those methane emissions come from land-related activities, not just cows, we sometimes think about those, but also other aspects of land. So yes, lands are incredibly important. They're part of the problem, but they're also part of the solution.
Interesting. That makes it even more confusing, Lynn. Some of the scientists who are behind this report also were involved in the Paris Climate Agreement, and they're saying so many of the countries in that agreement that made pledges and commitments have not kept their commitments, basically. How concerned are you about that? And is there anything really can be done when the Paris Climate Agreement is not a legally binding document? You sort of have to take these countries' words for it.
Yeah, you know, the good news is there is a lot of work underway. So countries set goals, but they are actually rolling their sleeves up. They're hard at work. We're working with countries around the world now to say, okay, you made a pledge. How are you going to get from here to there? So they are taking it seriously, but some of these measures take time. So for example, one solution is reforestation. That's where land becomes part of the solution rather than the problem. But that takes time. You plant trees, even the benefits they bring take time. So I'm optimistic, but at the same time cautious.
Of course, the United States withdrew from the Paris Climate Agreement. I want to get your reaction to that, and really your take on this administration's policy or lack of policy when it comes to tackling the very, very serious issue of climate change.
You know, last fall we saw a report that just showed how urgent the situation is. We're way short of doing what we need to do, and we need every country on board. The U.S. is the #2 emitter. They need to be part of the solution. So it is a challenge with the U.S. announcing intentions to withdraw from Paris. It is a problem that the U.S. is not all hands on deck at the national policy level. But there's a glimmer of hope. States are standing up and being counted, setting renewable energy goals, moving forward with energy efficiency. And we at the Conservancy are working on land-based solutions. So up and down the Mississippi River with farmers to change their practices. And guess what? That brings soil health, but it also helps those soils sequester carbon as part of the solution. So we see action even when the president himself is not leading the pack.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Lynn Scarlett, thank you so much.